Are you holding yourself back because you think you have this fear of failure? Let me tell you something. You don't have a fear of failure. What you actually have is the fear that someone will watch you fail. Hi, my name is Jay, and over the last 5 years, I've worked with hundreds of clients. A lot of them had this fear of failure. This fear that was preventing them from doing what they wanted to do, whether it was starting a business or moving forward in their personal lives. This fear of failure is crippling. What I've realized is that the fear of failure is a result of deeper subconscious beliefs. So, in this video, we're going to uncover 10 subconscious beliefs that lead to the fear of failure. When you look at self-sabotage, sometimes it hides behind this veil of responsibility. You look very responsible. You look like you're doing something. You look like you're planning. You look like you're gathering feedback. You're looking for everything to be absolutely perfect. And I think the number one subconscious belief is that there's something like a perfect time. That's a myth. There is no perfect timing to start something. In fact, the perfect time, if there was one, is when things aren't really going well for you, when things aren't completely aligned for you. I remember somebody told me that the best time to start a business is when shit hits the fan. And you're probably thinking, what the hell does that, like, how does that even make sense? Why would you want to take on more responsibility when you're already burdened? Well, the truth is that life is going to throw shit at you whether you like it or not. And if you wait, let's say there is a time in your life where everything is settled and everything is perfect, and now is the time to pursue that passion project, or now is the time to do something that you've always wanted to do. What if shit hits the fan after it? What are you going to do? You're going to shut your business down? So this whole thing of this obsession with finding the perfect time, it's a myth. There is no such thing. In fact, start it when things are not going well. Start your business, or start whatever that pursuit that you want, that hobby, whatever you want to do. Start it now. Take a small step. If you don't, you're never going to start. Another thing that I see that people struggle with when they want to move forward is that they want validation from somebody else about their plans. So now you've got a plan, you've got a perfect plan, it makes sense to you, but you now want your parents' validation. Hey, like, is this something I should do? And or maybe you want your wife's validation, or maybe you want your husband's validation, or maybe you were looking for advice from a friend. And there's nothing wrong with getting feedback or advice. It's just you have to ask yourself, who are you taking advice from? I see people sometimes that they want to invest, right? They want to invest their money, they want to grow their wealth. They go to people who are broke, asking for advice. Like, no offense, but if you're going to your father or your mother who's not done a very good job of making money in their lives, and you wanna be the first person in your family to make money, and you go to your father and ask him, hey, should I invest in this? Hey, should I do this? Should I start this business? I'm sorry, but he's got no experience. He might be your father, give him all the respect and love for that, but if he's never done what you want to do, how does it make sense asking him? So, if you're waiting for validation, somebody else to give you the go-ahead signal, somebody else to give you an applause before you move, the truth is you probably move too late, or you're never going to move. And then even after that, there's this whole comparison game that we get into. You start comparing your progress with the progress of somebody else. I've got this friend, and she's amazing, amazing, beautiful at what she does. I'm not going to say what she does. She's a performer, but I'm not going to go into more detail. She's amazing, like probably the best I've ever seen. But somehow she gets frozen when she sees somebody else doing better than her. Now, the truth is that there's always going to be somebody who's a little bit better than you at something that you do. Maybe you're a bodybuilder, and you're going to find somebody has got bigger arms than you do. Maybe you've got bigger legs, or somebody maybe making slightly more money than you do. Well, maybe that's because you may have a better product, but they've done better marketing. So comparison is a great way to take the wind out of your sails. And if you want to compare, look for things that the other person is doing that you're not doing that you could try. The bottom line is, just because somebody else is doing better because they took action doesn't mean that your action is any worse. It's just proof that action works. The next thing that I see people do is they'll make their wins or their celebrations smaller even after they achieve something. So let me clarify. Like, maybe you go out there and you try something and you have a result. Maybe you go out there, start a business, get your first client. Right now, first thing you do is you start comparing yourself to somebody else who's been in business for much longer and has 10 times your clients. Doesn't make any sense to do that. Comparing yourself with somebody else who's further along, even if they started the same time as you did, is not going to help. Just compare yourself to maybe who you were yesterday, right? Or who you were a week ago, or who you were a year ago, and see how far you've come. That is the only kind of comparison that you need. But let's say that you take action and you have a result. Then another thing that I see is that people minimize their own results. Like they'll say, "Oh, there's no big deal. There's nothing that I could. It's not a big deal. Nothing I did. It was a small thing. It's just minimizing it into something that is insignificant." And when you do that, the problem is that you're telling your mind, the cells in your brain, you're teaching them that you must not be rewarded for action and effort. Don't give yourself any reward. Don't give yourself any praise, right? It's not a big deal. So you're putting in the action, you're putting in the effort, but then you don't get the feedback in terms of praise. You don't let it hit, even when somebody else praises you. Forget about you praising yourself. And so this is really dangerous because you're not completing the feedback loop. You're not doing something and then patting yourself on the back. Like sometimes I have hard days, and it's difficult to show up like this on camera, on YouTube, or on social media. It's difficult. But then, once I do it, I know I'm going to feel amazing because I'm going to pat myself on the back and say, hip, hip, hooray, I did something, took an action. And that's really, really, really important. That brings me to my next point, which is that sometimes progress is going to feel painful. There are days where, no matter what you do, doing the thing that you got to do is painful. It's boring. It hurts. It's frustrating. Sometimes things just go wrong one after the other, and it's painful. And sometimes the pain of change can look a lot more than the pain of staying the same. And we get stuck in a comfort zone. So there are two kinds of discomfort, right? One is a discomfort of staying the same, of not progressing, of not moving forward. That is really uncomfortable. A lot of people that I meet, they want to be financially free. They're very uncomfortable, in the situation that they're in right now, but they're very comfortable in this discomfort that they have. So I think more than anything, people love to be in a familiar environment, even if that familiar environment is uncomfortable for them. And sometimes when you want to break free of your familiarity, you are going to get a bit uncomfortable. This is when your identity starts to shift. So inner transformation, mastery, the work that we do is about changing and rewiring your identity. And the best way to do that sometimes causes a bit of discomfort. People don't want to feel that discomfort. That's the feeling that when you hit that, you know that you're making some good progress. It's extremely important not to chase discomfort, but also not to shy away from it when it appears. Because eventually, when you break through it, you realize that you develop a new identity. And this new identity becomes your new comfort zone. And that's exactly when the thing that you got to do becomes easy. That's exactly when you don't fear failure anymore. And when you have your own comfort zone, remember that you're also going to be impacted by the comfort zones of people around you. So that's the next thing. Sometimes when you have goals or you have dreams, people around you may not believe that those goals or dreams are even possible. If you think about some of the biggest innovators in the world today, you look at somebody like Elon Musk, or you look at somebody like Steve Jobs, people around them, don't really like them. If you've read Steve Jobs' autobiography, people say he was an absolute asshole, but he changed the world with his vision. And I'm not saying that you have to be an asshole to other people. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that maybe you have a dream, maybe you have a goal, maybe there's something that you want to do, and people around you just don't believe it's possible because it's out of their comfort zone. People sometimes then shrink their own goals to fit in the mold that other people set for them. And that's a big mistake. I remember when I wanted to start a business, people around me were very skeptical because I come from a family where we lost our business when I was very young. And it was always valued to have a high paying job, a good job, a stable job. That never felt stable to me. That never felt like where I belonged. It just wasn't me. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with the job. If you enjoy what you do, fantastic. But I'm saying whatever your goal is, whatever it is that you want to do, make sure that you are the one deciding what that goal is. It is not impacted and affected by the viewpoints, the beliefs, the comfort zones of the people around you. Because you don't have to please them with your dreams. So your dreams. Don't edit your own goals just so that it can fit into the mold of the people around you. And the deeper wound here is a sense of guilt. Some people I've met, they're conflicted because they want to be successful, but then they don't want that success because they feel that making more money or becoming more famous or becoming more ambitious is going to somehow disconnect them from people or make them look like they are selfish or make them look that they're self-centered or something on those regards. So it creates guilt, guilt of success, and that guilt and that fear that other people are going to look at their ambition, look at their hunger for more, hunger for wanting more money, more fame, or more anything, whatever it is in their, it's a very negative way of putting it, right? You're hungry for money, or your hunger for fame. I don't see it that way at all. you know if you have something that you want to do, that's your potential, right? That's your potential that's crying out from inside. It's a calling that's asking for oxygen. It's asking you to feed it because it exists. It's the potential that exists within you. And don't starve it. Don't starve it because of somebody else's belief that making money is a sin or becoming famous might push you away from people around you. The people who are meant to be with you will be with you, and the people who are meant to be yours will find you. And sometimes when you grow as human beings, you also need to grow your circle, because not everyone is going to move up with you. Some people just prefer the discomfort of, or rather the comfort of familiarity. They just prefer it. And if they prefer the comfort of familiarity, they're not going to move into unfamiliar territory of growth. They're not going to do it. That's part of change. That's part of moving forward. So don't let the boundaries that you have collapse. What do I mean by that? I mean, when you have people around you that you love, sometimes you tend to make decisions based on what they want for you. And you let the boundary between them and you meld. And so now, when there's no boundary, their needs, wants, desires become your needs, wants, desires. At least That's the way it feels. But actually, they're not yours, they're theirs. And your actual needs, wants, and desires go into the background. So don't let that boundary collapse. Fritz Perls, the father of Gestalt psychology, has this amazing quote: I do my thing and you do your thing. I am not in this world to live up to your expectations, and you are not in this world to live up to mine. You are you, and I am I. And if by chance we find each other, it's beautiful. If not, it can't be helped. This is, I think, a great way of maintaining that boundary. And remember this, if you're somebody who is struggling, you have big dreams in your life, or you're silently suffering because there's this fear. You're not able to pinpoint what it is. It's a pattern. It keeps repeating. You keep doing things, keep promising to yourself that, you know what, tomorrow is going to be different. Tomorrow is going to be different. Tomorrow is going to be different. Nothing changes. Remember that you're not lazy. You're not afraid of failure. You're just attached to an identity of yourself that feels safe playing it small. But your future doesn't need you to plan more. You don't need to have the perfect plan. What it needs is to take that one step. If this stirred something inside of you, if this resonates with you, then that's not random. That's something that's calling out from the inside. That's your potential calling out for you to actually give it that oxygen. So if this stirred something inside of you, if this resonated with you, here's my invitation to you. If you'd like to go deeper and really uncover the subconscious patterns that you have, the subconscious beliefs, fears, the anxieties, what's really going on, there's a link in the description below. Click on it and it will take you to a page where you can do an assessment. That assessment is absolutely incredible. It will show you more about yourself than maybe even the people closest to you don't know. And it will completely demystify what's going on. And it'll also tell you what you need to do. You can also book a free one-to-one call. Slots are limited, but there is an option of booking a one-to-one call as well. So go on the link, book a one-to-one call if you're absolutely ready to start your hero's journey to overcome the fear of failure, to rewire your subconscious beliefs, face face the fear head on. And if you're ready for that journey, you're ready to build a new identity, to really capitalize on this momentum, this little spark that I hope that you feel after watching this video, and click on that link and book a call, do the free personality assessment test, and of course, like, share, subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you on the next video.